Today, we're taking the simulation theory and turning it into a bet. But this isn't just any bet. We've pulled different audiences, gathered some truly astonishing results, and by the end of this video, you'll be questioning more than just our reality. Stick around, it's about to get fascinating. Imagine you have to place a bet on one of Nick Bostrom's 3 scenarios from the simulation theory Trilemma. But don't just think of a random amount. Picture wagering a sum of money that holds real significance to you, an amount you genuinely hate to lose. Envision that winning this bet would mean pocketing 3 times your wagered amount, covering several months of your rent or mortgage, or even funding that dream vacation you've always yearned for but couldn't quite afford. Choose your bet wisely. First, we have Scenario A. All civilizations will be destroyed before reaching a stage at which creating a realistic simulation becomes possible. This could result from external factors, such as a meteor impact or self-inflicted catastrophes, like a global nuclear war. Next, we have Scenario B. While our civilization or others might possess the capability, they choose not to create a realistic simulation. This decision could arise from a lack of economic or other tangible benefits, or perhaps from ethical concerns surrounding such creations. Lastly, we delve into Scenario C. We, or another civilization, will eventually create a simulation, and given the possibility of infinite simulations being generated, it becomes highly probable that we are currently residing within one. Now that you're familiar with the 3 scenarios, we'd like you to take a moment and ponder. If you had to place a bet right now, which scenario would you back? Before you make a decision, we encourage you to pause this video, take a deep breath, and really think about where you'd put your money. Here's the twist. This isn't just about whether or not you believe we're living in a simulation. It's about making the best bet based on potential returns. Think of it this way. In terms of pure probability, any of the scenarios could be the correct answer. But if you're betting to win, there's only one scenario that offers any sort of payout. Scenario C. Let us quickly explain why. Let's start with Scenario A. Now, if you waltzed into any casino and told them you wanted to bet on the end of the world, I guarantee they'd give you fantastic odds. They might even let you name your price. Why?
I want you to remember this. I want you to remember that betting against the end of the world is a sucker's game. The next time you think the world is ending, you have to assume that it isn't. I want you to take the other side of the trade. I want you to bet against the end of the world.
Because it's a surefire win for them. No matter how it ends, they'd never have to pay out. So while the idea might sound tempting, remember that in the grand cosmic casino, it's a bet they can never lose. Let's move on to Scenario B. Now this one's a marathon, not a sprint. Imagine placing a bet with an infinite time frame. That means holding onto that wager for all of eternity, never actually reaching an end. Picture this, waiting through countless sunrises and sunsets, millennia after millennia, knowing that you'll never get a clear answer. It's like hoping to complete a puzzle, but being certain that the final piece will forever remain elusive. If you ever hear someone telling, "I will never in my life," challenge them with a simple wager. Want to bet on that? You will be surprised how many times it will work. Such bets always work in your favor. They either eventually join and you win, or, well, let's just say the bet remains forever in your favor. Scenario C is where things truly become captivating. It delves deeply into the nuances of human psychology, capturing a broad spectrum of beliefs and lifestyles. The results for this scenario show stark contrasts across different audiences. Some groups didn't place a single bet on Scenario C, believing there's a 0% chance we're in a simulation. On the other hand, certain audiences, heavily biased towards the idea, had over 80% of their members say it is most probable that we're living in a simulated reality. We surveyed over 1,000 individuals with the same question, and what stood out was that not a single participant based their choice on the betting logic. Instead, every single vote was grounded in personal beliefs. Thus, we can infer that the results we obtained truly reflect which of the 3 scenarios each person deemed most probable, rather than any inclination towards the nuances of the bet itself. But why we got such starkly varied results? For those who are staunchly against the idea that we could ever live in a simulation, even considering a minuscule 0.1% chance for it, Scenario C becomes, in their view, an unwinnable bet. Their conviction against the simulation concept is so entrenched that even when the betting trick behind the question is laid bare, and even when it's pointed out that Scenario C offers the only conceivable win scenario, they remain steadfast in their choice. To them, scenarios A or B are certainties that will eventually transpire, even if they'll never witness or claim their winnings. Scenario C for them is an utter impossibility. But is their stance wrong? That's a matter for debate. However, challenging their belief would be unethical. We'll circle back to this idea shortly and delve into why. Remember at the beginning when we mentioned predicting your choice? Well, just by clicking on this video, there's a higher likelihood that you'd lean towards option C. Out of every 10 viewers, around 6 typically gravitate to this scenario. Did we hit the mark with you? Let us know in the comments. Let's delve deeper into the profile of those leaning towards option C. If any of the following describe you, your inclination might just be swayed in its favor. Tech-savvy or working in a tech-forward field. Engaged in using AI for professional or personal research. Holding secular views or identifying as an atheist. Highly educated and future-oriented. The more of these traits you resonate with, the stronger the pull towards Scenario C. And if you find yourself nodding to all of them, well, you might just be channeling your inner Elon Musk.
The odds that we're in base reality is 1 in billions.
So
Tell me what's wrong with that argument.
We've conducted polls in various venues, online and in person, and the results have been consistently intriguing. Before we delve into the specifics, it's crucial to highlight that these results are influenced by sample bias. There are numerous factors at play that could skew the voting, especially within niche communities that engage in discussions around the subject matter. However, even with this consideration, these polls provide insight into which demographics lean toward option C. On the Reddit subreddit r/artificial, which is mainly populated by tech-savvy users familiar with AI technology, but not necessarily versed in the simulation theory, the votes broke down as follows. Out of 470 votes, 122 votes, or 25.96%, were for option A. 49 votes, accounting for 10.43%, sided with Scenario B. A significant 299 votes, a whopping 63.61%, championed Scenario C. But where things take a more dramatic turn is within the /simulation theory subreddit. This community, with its inherent bias toward the concept of living in a simulated reality, yielded these results. Out of 466 total votes, 65 votes, or 13.95%, were cast for Scenario A. 23 votes, making up 4.94%, went to Scenario B. A staggering 378 votes, equating to 81.12%, gravitated towards Scenario C. So why are so many of us pretty darn sure we might be living in a simulation? Is there some kind of gut feeling pushing us that way? Given how we've laid out the simulation idea in this video, are we kind of seeing these options as a bet without even realizing it? If we're just going by straight-up logic, everyone should be betting on Scenario C if they want a shot at winning. But why are most of us picking this? Maybe, deep down, we're all just looking at these choices like they're bets and going with the one that feels right. So, looking at things from our crowd's perspective, which I'm totally part of, Scenario A does feel kind of possible. I mean, think about it. We've had our fair share of close calls in history, where just one wrong decision could have ended it all. The world's a tense place, and honestly, anything could kick off a major disaster. But here's the thing. Deep down, we're optimists. Given our keen awareness of recent rapid technological advancements, more than the average person is probably aware, we probably envision Scenario A unfolding in a relatively near future. Why? Because as proponents and observers of technological progression, we feel the capability to simulate reality is just around the corner. But then again, why would we ever bet on the end of the world? In such an eventuality, our beliefs, actions, and debates become inconsequential, making this bet less enticing for us. Scenario B seems to be the least appealing among our cohorts, and not just because it's running on that infinite timeline. The logic is clear. If humanity's trajectory remains consistent with our historical patterns, the moment there's an economic or strategic incentive to design a simulation, it won't just be a possibility, it'll become an arms race. Hoping for a drastic paradigm shift in human behavior feels like a long shot given our past. So for many, Scenario B feels more like fiction than a feasible future. For many of us deeply involved in the technological realm, it seems quite logical to lean towards the idea that we're potentially living in a simulation. But a question arises, why do individuals who immerse themselves in nature and deliberately minimize their interactions with modern technology tend to dismiss this possibility, often overlooking Scenario C? I recently had an enlightening experience to delve into this perspective. An old school friend of mine, who transitioned from the hustle and bustle of city life to the serenity of the countryside, invited me to his quaint farm. Although city-born, after high school he felt a strong disconnect with urban living. He's been vocal about his belief that rampant technological progress might not always equate to better living. While I've always respected his viewpoint, even if it contrasts with mine, I was quite certain he wouldn't be favorable to Scenario C. But recalling our school days and his penchant for a good bet, I wondered if framing it as a wager might make him reconsider. After a day surrounded by the tranquility of my friend's farm, basking among crops and livestock, we settled down post a hearty home-cooked meal and drinks. As night descended, my friend, his grandfather, who was around 70 years old, and I found ourselves around a rustic outdoor table. Seizing the moment, I introduced them to my betting question hypothesis. The mention of Scenario C piqued the old man's interest. Chuckling, he quipped, "Why on earth would anyone bet that we're living in a computer?" After some contemplation, both settled on Scenario A, alluding to the peculiarities of our present world. Tempted to share my wagering twist, I hesitated, unsure if challenging the grandfather's deeply held beliefs was appropriate. Opting for diplomacy, I thanked them and mentioned I was gathering opinions for a project. But the old man's curiosity was palpable. "So did we win?" he asked. I finally unveiled my rationale. See, the bet wasn't about belief but about playing odds. Scenario C, though implausible to many, was the only choice where one could possibly reap rewards. The other two, A and B, were essentially dead ends. If there was real money on the line, would you reconsider? I posed. My friend acknowledged the logic but remained steadfast. I see the betting flaw in A and B, but we are not living in a computer for sure. It's too far-fetched, he stated. I wouldn't switch. Before I could retort, the grandfather dramatically pulled out his wallet. He slammed 2 bills on the table with emphasis. He said, "Here's 100 for the bet and 50 for gas and food in case you get hungry. Please head to the nearest casino, place my bet, but bring me the ticket. Because I'd rather take that piece of paper to my grave than ever tell you that we are living in a computer." I was left speechless. All my arguments, logic, theories, and odds evaporated in an instant. What could I possibly say to that? I was just feeling wrong. Are we perhaps off the mark? It's not just those living a simpler life who reject the possibility of a simulation. Many scientists and philosophers share this skepticism. They counter that replicating human consciousness, our emotions, feelings, and the very essence of being human, encode is a bridge too far. As of now, there's no tangible evidence that suggests we're living in a digital construct. While we may champion our views with fervor, it's crucial to approach this subject with sensitivity. The concept of living within a simulation, while riveting for many, is also profoundly unsettling for others. It upends deeply held beliefs, shakes one's understanding of reality, and potentially throws into question the very essence of their cherished way of life. The allure of the simulation theory will undoubtedly draw those who find it intriguing, and they will, in time, immerse themselves in the debate if they so wish. But it's paramount that we respect the choice of those who wish to revel in the tangible, the here and now, and the only reality we truly understand, our present. That said, what exactly draws so many of us to this theory? Could it be our yearning for an alternate explanation of reality when the accepted ones no longer resonate? Or is it that we see the whole conundrum as a game of odds, nudging us to place the most rational bet? Perhaps our unwavering faith in technological progress blinds us to the gargantuan challenges that stand in the path of simulating reality. Maybe the real question isn't whether we're inside a simulation, but why we're so deeply enthralled by the idea.
As we journey deeper into the realm of AI and explore the endless possibilities, your support becomes invaluable. Crafting these in-depth explorations is no small task, both in terms of research and production. If you found value in this video and wish to see more content like this, please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing our work. Each interaction truly makes a difference. Together, let's unravel the mysteries of the digital age.